Hello and welcome back to SPSS 1 from part S19. So we got the data into SPSS, just need to do some recoding now. We're going to recode the migration variable first. So just as before, I temporarily give it this name with st to remind me it's a string, make a new one which is recoded, and then delete the old one. So first step here is goes to this first one, this migrate. I'm just going to put st on the end to remind me that's a string, and then just like before we'll do an automatic recode that migration thing and go make it into right, like so, add that name there, and that's it. So that's done it. So if you go right at the end, because there are lots of variables, yeah, seems pretty good. And if you click in these, it's got a code for each one, which is good. So what's not to like about that? Well, problem with this is if you go to variable view, and it's been added on the bottom here, migration right. Here's the coding, remember. If you click on this button, you can see how it's been coded. And if you look carefully at the codes, you feel it's just randomly allocated as a number to each category. Because SPSS doesn't understand what these things are, it's just put some numbers in there. And that the order of numbers doesn't match up at all with the order of the expression of people's views. And this is ordinal data, so there should be, as well as categories, it's ordinal, so it should be in a sequence. So that's not going to do it. That's no good. So we've got to get rid of that one. So zilch that. Start again. So the automatic recode, unfortunately, won't work for us. We have to use the more general, which is the recode. Recoding to the same variables can be handy because that replaces the one you're starting with. So it means you don't have to go through that process of making the string version, then transforming it, and then deleting it. But it can be quite dangerous because it means that if you go wrong, then you've lost the original variable. So I prefer to do the different one, and then if it all looks good, then zap the original one. There are alternatives, but oops, you can't see that, can you? Let's get it on the right screen. So it's recoded into different variables. So you need to put that into there again, and the same as before, we give it a name. Migration rights. I'll cover the labels later. But now you need to manually tell it what's going to happen. So here is where you tell it exactly how to recode it. So you press old and new values, and here is the part you need to fill in. So the smallest value is where the person said very strongly opposed or very strongly disagree. You just type that in here, very strongly disagree. And you want that to go to value 1. So you press add, and it tells you that's matched up. The next one was just strongly disagree. Spell it right. And that wants to go to value 2. And so on. So you type the rest of them in. So I'll pause the video, type the rest in, and we'll carry on. So there I've typed them all in, so you can see that from very strongly disagree up to very strongly agree, I've matched them to numbers 1 to 7. Once you're happy with that, you press continue, and then you can press OK. So press agree, OK, and hopefully it's added on the variable at the end. Okay, right, fine. Except, as you can see, there's something wrong here, which is there are some missing values. So if you look carefully at this, you spot a bit of a pattern that there aren't any number 6s anywhere. In fact, there's no number 1s or number 6s. If you look back on the notes, I won't do it in SPSS Live, but in the notes, I moved the two columns together, the old one and the new one. You can see that it's the strongly agrees that have been missed out. And strongly agree should be 6. So if I just bring back the command I use, which you can, this very useful button here, brings back the thing we just did. If I look at the old and new values, you can see where it's crept in. And the problem here was that when I put in strongly agree, here, I put a small s and in the actual responses it's a big S, and a tiny mistake like that can cause a disaster. So I've got to change this, so that S I've got to change to a big S, and then you change, and it updates it, and you continue, and then just redo it again, and now you've got the complete set, except for one here where they didn't give an answer. So that's a missing value because the person didn't answer, number 50. And if you haven't noticed already, in SPSS, a single dot just means we haven't got any data for that observation on that variable. Now we can recode the rest of the variables. So that's in variable view, we're going to recode all of these. I already went ahead and put ST on the end of these variable names that I'm going to replace. So wealth, military, end, job, boycott, and local universal. So I added ST to those. I did it when the video was paused, sorry. And now we're going to go back to this one here, the recode. So that's already there. We need to put the next 7 in. So the next 6, so there's 7 in there altogether now. Then you need to go through and just put in the shorter name. So that one's going to be called Wealth Happy. And the next one's going to be called Military Never. I'll just pause the video while I do this. So I've put all those in. As you can see, it's all set up there. Old and new values, no need to change that. It's already set up. So we can just press OK. Bottom here. And that does it. So here's the 7 variables now set up with the number codes, like so. So now we don't need these first 7, so we can just delete those. The old string versions, finish those now. Can delete them. Oops. So, and then you don't have to do this, but it will make sure your analysis looks the same as mine if you just select those and drag those to the top. Like so. So the data view, all the new ones are now back in the original order. So the next step is, instead of these numbers, we want to put the labels back on so we can see what the responses actually mean. So I'll do that in the next video, but